Hi, this is Ajay Anand and welcome to science classes from excelup.com. In this video, I will be talking about reproduction in organisms. You will be learning about different types of reproductions like asexual reproduction, sexual reproduction, then reproduction in flowering plants. You will be learning about the human reproductive system, and at the end of the video, you will be learning about the reproductive health in human beings. What is reproduction? The process by which a living being produces its own progeny is called reproduction. In fact, reproduction is not necessary to maintain life. So that is why it is not taken under life processes. But reproduction is necessary to continue the progeny of organisms. And this is because of reproduction that we get to see such a huge biodiversity on our planet. So there are two types of reproduction. One is called asexual reproduction and another is called sexual reproduction. In case of asexual reproduction, just one parent is required and there is no gamete formation in asexual reproduction. In case of sexual reproduction, gametes are formed and two parents are required for reproduction to take place. Now, what are the pros and cons or benefits and disadvantages of asexual reproduction? The number one benefit of asexual reproduction is that if an organism it wants to reproduce asexually or it is capable of reproducing asexually, it does not need to wait for another organism to cooperate or to help in the process of reproduction. Then the process of reproduction is very simple process, so it takes less time to produce an offspring. Okay, but the disadvantage of reproduction is the lack of variation, because there is almost no chance of genetic recombination which could be possible through sexual reproduction. So lack of variation means the chances of evolution is very minuscule in case of asexual reproduction. So what happens in case there is a big change in the environment, the organisms which reproduce asexually, they may not be able to adapt to the changed circumstances and eventually they may not be able to survive under the changed circumstances. Okay. So now the means of asexual reproduction. There are various means of asexual reproduction and they depend on the type of organism, on the degree of simplicity or complexity in the organism. Okay. So one of the means is called binary fission. It takes place in unicellular organisms. Here is the example of amoeba. The first of all, the nucleus of amoeba, it undergoes division to form two daughter nuclei, and after that the cell gets divided to form two daughter amoebae. So once the binary fission is complete, the parent generation it ceases to exist and the new generation starts. Multiple fission. In this case, the nucleus of the mother cell it divides into many nuclei and the whole structure is covered with a cyst. Cyst is a hard structure. Actually, the cyst is formed in order to tide over unfavorable circumstances, and this type of method is seen in Plasmodium, the malarial parasite. So once the favorable circumstances they return, the cyst breaks and it releases the daughter nuclei which eventually grow into new individuals. Then comes the budding. Budding takes place in unicellular as well as some multicellular organisms. So what happens in case of yeast? Yeast is a unicellular organism. The cell of yeast it develops a small bud on it, and after that there is a division of nuclear material. So daughter nucleus goes inside the bud. After that the bud gets detached from the parent cell. A new individual is born after that. Hydra is a multicellular organism and it also reproduces by budding. So on the body of Hydra, a small bud develops. After that, some tentacles they develop over the bud, and the bud grows to a certain size, and after growing to a certain size, the bud get detached from Hydra to start its life as a new individual. Then comes fragmentation. So in case of fragmentation, it is seen in Hydra. Spirogyra. The Spirogyra filament, it can break into many fragments. So these are the fragments, and each fragment has the capability to develop into a new individual or daughter fragments. Now, another method is called regeneration. This is seen in planaria and many other simple organisms which have tissue level of organization. If the body of the planaria is cut into many parts, then each part has the capability to develop into a new organism. But this is not considered a proper mode of reproduction, because now no organism would wait for being cut into 3 or 4 portions to carry out reproduction. Then comes the spore formation. Some multicellular organisms, they develop special structures called sporangium. Spores develop inside a sporangium, and once the sporangium matures, it releases spores. The spores germinate to produce a new organism. So Rhizopus or bread mold is an example of organism which reproduces by this method. The cotton-like layer which you can see on stale bread or rotting fruits and vegetables, that is because of the development of Rhizopus. Now let us talk about vegetative propagation. In plants which are otherwise capable of reproducing sexually, the reproduction by vegetative parts is called vegetative propagation. So in case of vegetative propagation, the plants can reproduce through its root, stem and leaves. They are not reproductive parts. So one example is the tuber of potato. The tuber of potato is a modified stem. There are many small depressions called notches on the tuber of potato. These notches, they are called eyes of potato, and each eye is capable of producing a new plant. Then comes the rhizome of ginger or turmeric. The rhizomes, they can produce a new plant. That is, rhizome is also a modified stem. Leaves of Bryophyllum, they have wavy margin. So there are many notches on the margin of these leaves, and each margin is capable of producing a new plant. Okay. Then these are the natural methods of vegetative propagation. Artificial methods, they have also been developed by human beings in order to grow new plants. So one of the methods is called grafting. What happens in grafting? The stem is cut from a plant and it is implanted on another plant. The joint is covered with soil and plastic. In due course of time, new roots develop on the joint, and later on this is cut and transplanted to fresh flower basket or flower bed, and this portion grows up into a new plant. So you have learnt about various methods of vegetative propagation. Now, sexual reproduction in flowering plants. In case of flowering plants, the flower, it behaves like a reproductive system. A flower is a special structure. It is also defined as a modified shoot. There are 4 main whorls in a flower. The outermost whorl is called calyx. The second whorl is called corolla. The third whorl is called androecium, and the central whorl is called gynoecium. Calyx is composed of sepals. Sepals are green in color and they appear like leaves. The role of sepal is to protect the flower when it is in the bud stage. Now comes the corolla. Corolla is composed of petals, and petals are colorful, showy, bright. So their bright color or showy appearance, it serves a purpose. These petals, they attract insects and birds so that these animals can help in pollination in the plant. Okay. Now comes the androecium and gynoecium. Androecium is composed of stamens and gynoecium is composed of ovary. Okay. So this is the detailed structure of a stamen. A stamen has a cylindrical tube-like stalk. On top of that are capsule-like structures. They are called anthers. Pollen grains, they develop inside anthers. Pollen grains are the male gametes. In case of ovary, there is a swollen base, that is called ovary. On top of that, there is a neck, it is called style, and then there is a flat platform on top of the style, that is called stigma. So this is a reproductive system of flowering plant. So now, what happens in sexual reproduction? As I talked earlier, two parents are required for sexual reproduction and gametes are formed. Gametes are special cells which are formed in germ producing cells. So gametes are of two sizes. One is of very small size and another is of large size. By convention, the small gamete is called the male gamete and the larger one is called the female gamete. The male gamete is motile, that is, it can move from one place to another, and the female gamete is non-motile, but it carries some food reserve along with it. So in the process of sexual reproduction, a fusion of male and female gamete is an important step, and this is called fertilization. Fertilization results in formation of zygote, and after that the zygote undergoes various rounds of cell division and development to produce a new individual. This is the same concept across all the organisms which reproduce sexually. This diagram shows how fertilization takes place in flowering plants. So this is the gynoecium, this is ovary. Once the pollen grains, they land on a stigma, they germinate, and a pollen grain produces a pollen tube. The pollen tube travels through the style and it eventually reaches the ovary. After that, male germ cell, it travels through the pollen tube to reach the female germ cell where the fertilization takes place. After fertilization, the seeds are formed. Okay. So it depends, the number of seed depends on the number of ovules which may be present in the ovary. So for example, the fruit of an orange can have a few seeds, say 5-6 seeds, and the fruit of a watermelon can have hundreds of seeds. It depends on the number of ovules. The ovary, it matures to become a fruit, and rest of the floral parts, they usually fall down. Okay. This diagram, it shows seeds. A seed has three main parts. So one part is called cotyledon. Cotyledon contains reserved food which is utilized during germination of seed. Then there is plumule and radicle. The plumule develops into shoot and the radicle develops into roots after germination. Once the seed germinates, it develops into a new plant. This is the human reproductive system. This figure shows the male reproductive system. The male reproductive system is composed of an organ which produces germs or sperm and a tube and some accessory glands. Okay. So this is testis. Testis lies outside the abdominal cavity and it is suspended inside a pouch of skin. That pouch is called scrotum. So testis produces sperms. From the testis, a tube arises which is called vas deferens. Vas deferens finally meets the urethra somewhere near the bladder. Then there are accessory glands like prostate gland and seminal vesicle. Sperms are stored in seminal vesicle, and the secretions from prostate gland and seminal vesicle, they add up to make the semen, and semen eventually facilitates further movement of sperms. Okay. Now after that, after this point, the opening for urine and semen is common, that is urethra. Urethra passes through the penis so that sperms can go outside. This diagram shows the female reproductive system. The female reproductive system is composed of a uterus, two fallopian tubes, ovaries and vagina. The uterus, it is in the shape of inverted pears. So this is having somewhat larger diameter on the top and smaller diameter on the bottom. At the bottom there is the mouth of the uterus, that is called cervix. The uterus has two lateral tubes attached with it on the top, and they are called fallopian tubes or oviduct. Ovaries, they are also situated laterally on either side of the uterus. Okay. Now ovary, it contains eggs, and all the eggs in a girl, they develop before a girl child is born. But the eggs they are not in the mature stage. Once the puberty starts, then eggs, they start maturing one by one, and each menstrual cycle one mature egg is released, and the mature egg is finally caught up by the fallopian tube, so that the egg goes inside the fallopian tubes. So after the mating, what happens? The sperms, they travel through vagina to reach the uterus, and finally they reach the fallopian tube, where one of the sperms may be successful in fertilizing the eggs. Okay. So once the fertilization happens, the zygote undergoes many rounds of cellular division to form a ball of cells. After that, the ball of cells, it comes down to the uterus and gets attached to the wall of the uterus. So this process is called implantation. Once the implantation is complete, then only people say that pregnancy has started, and after that the gestation period starts. The gestation period usually lasts for about 40 weeks or 9 months, in which period the embryo undergoes many rounds of development to become a fully developed baby, which is delivered once the gestation period is over. Okay. Now let us talk about reproductive health. In your previous classes, in class 8, you read about adolescence and puberty. That was about the attainment of reproductive capacity in human beings. So as per that chapter, the reproductive phase starts from around 11 to 12 years of age and lasts till around 50 years of age in female, and it can last up to 60 or even more years in males. Okay. But attainment of sexual maturity does not mean that reproductive maturity or psychological maturity has also been attained. So the reproductive health is all about enjoying a productive reproductive phase of the life, along with sensible family planning, along with a urge or inclination to maintain a proper family size and to maintain the health of both male and female and the children. Okay. So this is a very complex topic. So what happens, suppose if there is an underage pregnancy or underage marriage, if a girl is married say at the age of 15 or 16, she may not be mentally mature to take the burden of childbearing or take the burden of rearing the child. Even if a male, he becomes a father at the age of 17 or 18, he may not be mature enough to handle the pressure of handling a family. Okay. So there should be some minimum age for marriage as specified by the society and the government. Okay. Then another problem is the problem of population explosion. So if the family size is large, it incurs huge economic burden on the family, on the society and on the country. So in order to limit the family size or limit the population, methods of contraception are followed. Contraception is contrary to conception. So there can be many methods like barrier method, like condoms, then hormonal pills. They are consumed by females, so that ovulation can be stopped. Then surgery is the permanent method in which vasectomy or tubectomy is done. Vasectomy is surgically cutting or blocking the vas deferens, that is done in males, and tubectomy is cutting or blocking the fallopian tube, so that the eggs, they do not enter the fallopian tubes. So tubectomy, it is done in females. Then you need to understand some concepts about STDs. STD stands for sexually transmitted diseases. There are many diseases which can spread from one person to another through sexual contact. For example, gonorrhea, herpes, then AIDS, that is HIV. These are sexually transmitted diseases. So proper precaution and using the barrier methods, it can help in preventing STDs. Okay, so in this lesson, I talked about the types of reproduction, asexual reproduction, and various methods of asexual reproduction. Then I talked about sexual reproduction in flowering plants. I talked about structure of flower and how fertilization takes place in plants. After that, I discussed the human reproductive system and discussed about the reproductive health. That's all. Thank you.